We'll talk about hemochromatosis. Hemochromatosis is an iron overload condition. Hemochromatosis. So it is an iron overload condition. So first we'll discuss where the normal iron is there. So if somebody is having X amount of iron in body, where is it there normally? So 65% would be in RBC, right? 30% would be in ferritin, right? And then second 4%, then we have 1% of that. So 65% would be in RBC, 30% would be in ferritin, and this would be in transferrin and enzymes, iron binding proteins, right? So apart from this, if there is any excess iron deposition, normally where it shouldn't be there, it get deposits over there. So if it is there in skin, deposition there in skin, you will have bronzed appearance, right? If it is there in joints, you have arthritis, right? If it is there in pancreas, you would be having diabetes. So that's how the name comes, bronzed diabetes. So the other thing what they describe for hemochromatosis is bronzed diabetes. Bronzed diabetes. So bronzed as in for skin, and then for diabetes as in pancreas, right? And if it is there in gonads, hypogonadism. And if it is there in cardiomyopathy, right? So reversible conditions you have to remember. So reversible conditions which will respond to this iron chelation. The reversible conditions over here would be skin and heart manifestations. Skin and heart manifestations. So 4% would be in myoglobin. Right? So 1% would be in transferrin, enzymes and iron binding proteins. So hemochromatosis, they will be asking screening test. So screening test, so if you are suspecting hemochromatosis, what are the screening tests you would be doing? So the screening test you want to do in general population would be ferritin and transferrin saturation. And if there is any family member, so sibling has got hemochromatosis, you want to see whether the other sibling has also got this thing, family hemochromatosis, you would be looking for HFE gene analysis. Right? So we'll just talk about iron studies. So iron studies are very important day to day, like we'll be seeing them in iron deficiency anemias, anemia of chronic diseases. So generally what we have is we have serum iron, right? We have ferritin. So iron studies. So these are very important in anemias as well as iron overload conditions also. So see, we have serum iron. So 1 second, I'll give you time to write down. Just look over here. So we have serum iron, we have transferrin, so we have ferritin, and we have transferrin saturation. So what is the formula for transferrin saturation? Is transferrin saturation. So it stands for serum iron into transferrin into 100, right? So normally this would be 20 to 50%. So if it is more than 50%, iron overload, hemochromatosis, right? Chromatosis. So if it is less than 20%, iron deficiency anemia. Iron deficiency anemia. Iron deficiency anemia. Right? So iron studies. So this iron studies would be discussing in two things. So always remember. So ferritin and transferrin would be in opposite. Like say if the transferrin is elevated, ferritin would be low. Right? So we will discuss about iron deficiency anemia. So iron deficiency anemia, serum iron, and also we will also discuss side by side anemia of chronic disease. Chronic disease could be anything: CKD, congestive heart failure, COPD, right? Any chronic liver disease, CKD, congestive heart failure, any chronic diseases. So anemia of iron deficiency anemia and anemia of chronic disease, serum iron, both of them it would be low, right? So we discussed in ferritin in iron deficiency anemia would be low, right? So we said ferritin and transferrin are opposite. So if ferritin is low, transferrin would be elevated. In anemia of chronic diseases, ferritin would be high, so transferrin would be low, right? So the main pathogenesis behind this you have to remember is, so ferritin is like a reserve, whatever reserves are there of iron. So transferrin is a protein that will take iron from the duodenum, right? So if there is, say ferritin, you understand. So if there is lots of iron in the storage form, your liver would be producing less of transferrin to bring iron from duodenum, right? So if there is less iron in storage form, your liver would be producing lots of transferrin to bring from duodenum, to bring lots of iron from duodenum, right? So that's how the relation is, ferritin and transferrin. So serum, yeah. So in how will it be in hemochromatosis? Hemochromatosis. So serum iron would be elevated, and also transferrin would be elevated. Ferritin would also be elevated. Sorry, transferrin would be low, transferrin saturation would be increased. So transferrin saturation would be increased. So one more discriminatory function for iron deficiency anemia and anemia of chronic diseases, you would be looking for MCV. So iron deficiency anemia, it would be usually would be having low MCV. So MCV would be normal in anemia of chronic diseases.